Crashing through the lies and disinformation, it's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
Ladies and gentlemen, our intrepid crew of researchers are so on target that as soon as Roger Stone 5 minutes ago broke that Harvey Weinstein is under criminal investigation by the FBI and Justice Department for connections to Jerry Epstein and the Lolita Express child kidnapping aircraft operation with Bill Clinton, they were able to go, wait, we just saw that clip that got no attention from a major award show a few years ago where Weinstein was bragging that he was the chief projectionist for 8 years at the White House and traveled with Bill Clinton everywhere while the Epstein flights were taking place. This is big, and that's what my law enforcement sources told me, some of which have been involved in these big raids you've seen in the news, catching all these kidnappers of kids, just hundreds a day it's happening. But the mainstream media won't report on it. It's only in local news. They've been telling me that this is exactly what was about to happen. We've got the producer of one of the big films about to join us, but let's play this clip and then get Roger Stone's take on it. Here he is at the GLAAD Awards with Jennifer Lawrence now, who's really disgusting to me, fawning. I heard she casting couch quite a bit with him, fawning over her Lord and Savior, Mr. Epstein. So I guess she's a little too old for him. Here it is.
And I just wanted to tell you that how I really got to know the president really well. Some of you don't know because there wasn't a Senate confirmation hearing. This was done rather privately. I was the chief projectionist at the White House from 1992 to 2000. And I'm going to tell you, the president and I saw so many movies together. I'm not kidding, by the way. We saw so many movies together. Some of mine, like Good Will Hunting, and I remember seeing The Harmonists, and so many great films with the president. We even built on vacation, we even built a little portable screening room for the president.
Oh.
I can tell you, that...
At the little Pleasure Island, maybe? Wow, Roger, the 3 minutes we have left, amazing breaking news here for InfoWars, not just your POTUS conversation yesterday, but now this. What else can you tell us about the bombshell you just dropped?
Well, great research there by the InfoWars research team. Look, what kind of movies were they watching? It sounds like porn to me. Look, we know that Bill Clinton was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 23 separate times. We know that, according to the testimony of Virginia Roberts, he was on Orgy Island for private parties with a lot of underage girls and very few adult men on numerous occasions. Little did we know that Harvey Weinstein may have been the link here, and we are examining whether Weinstein also visited the island. I understand the FBI is also looking into whether Weinstein was on the plane contemporaneously with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. Look, the entire Hollywood pedophile network is about to crash down around the knees of Bill Clinton.
And now you know why they're fighting so hard. And the minute we have with Roger Stone, InfoWars.com, investigative journalist, and amazing political operative for America, what do you make of Trump saying this week, McCain better watch it because when I take the gloves off, I hit hard, basically. He said, I'm getting ready to really smack you hard. I mean, that's an open message, isn't it?
I think so. As I said last night on the War Room, the fact that John McCain is even still in the United States Senate is at the suffrage of candidate Donald Trump. They were both on the ballot the same year, the same month in Arizona last year during the presidential. After Trump had swept the early and middle primaries, Arizona is among the latest. Had Donald Trump not supported John McCain, he would already be in retirement. This man is bitter. He is mentally confused. His temper tantrums, his red-faced fits, his public meltdowns are now things of legend. I must seriously question, Alex, whether he is mentally fit to be in the U.S. Senate.
This latest speech he got attacking American patriotism, he looks like he's got 2 feet in the grave. Roger Stone, thank you so much. Amazing intel. Thank you.
Great to be here.
We're going down the Hollywood pedophile rat hole right now when we come back. Tell everybody to tune in.
I think every little kid dreams about being famous and being in movies.
This is California. This is where you make it. This is where it all starts.
You'll get signed by a label. You can star on Disney Channel. You know, what kid wouldn't want that, right?
I remember you asked me
if I ever did anything with the guy before. I was not interested at 12.
You're not recording this, right?
Looks like an angel.
Hollywood doesn't have any system in place to protect anybody, and children are way down on that list.
Children need management just like everybody else.
Walk like an angel.
Everybody liked him.
He became part of the family.
In the beginning, it was happy, and then things started changing.
Oh, you talk like an angel.
They pick on people who they know will be victims.
You have an adult who is manipulating the child.
Look like an angel.
Just getting, hired on the spot like that. That had never happened before. It was obvious that something was going on.
You fool me.
The party made me feel uncomfortable. There were lots of drugs available, and there were young teenage boys.
I remember being scared. He just told me this is what you have to do.
A number of boys told me to point the gun at them just like that.
He said, do you not understand the power I have?
You're the devil in disguise.
I remember sitting in my room and crying my eyes out.
He said, what would you do? That happening to me.
A lot of investors completely denied that anything was going on.
Clearly, the studio didn't want an investigation.
I hated when you tried to have me sleep in your bed and touch me.
I don't know anything about that.
There will always be a steady stream of kids who want to be famous. We're absolutely talking about the tip of an iceberg.
It wasn't uncommon, let's put it that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's even been in mainstream news the last week that Harvey Weinstein hired a convicted pedophile who raped a 12-year-old boy on a previous set of a Disney film to come direct another film. That's just one example. And it's been said that one man dies, it's a tragedy, 10,000 die, it's a statistic. Well, if you find out about one child that's been kidnapped or one child that's been raped, it's a tragedy, it's an outrage. If it's 10,000 or a million, it's just a statistic. Now, Gabe Hoffman, I've been hearing about this film in production and from even law enforcement sources, and Hollywood tried to block the film from coming out. But just days ago, he released it, and it's got over 1 million views. It's free. It needs to have 100 million views. But we know Google, Facebook, Twitter, and others try to block it. They've been doing that. So it's up on Vimeo. I'm having it posted as we speak to Infowars.com and to Newswars.com, and I'm going to have Paul Watson retweet it. He's got one of the top Twitter accounts for actual engagement. We're going to sit down on Paul's Twitter at Prison Planet as well. Gabe Hoffman is the producer. He is a successful producer and a philanthropist who put a lot of his money into this very professional, groundbreaking film. Facebook.com, an open secret documentary, an open secret at Twitter. Everybody should follow it. And this is a short segment because I played the trailer, but tell people a little bit about yourself. We're going to go down the rabbit hole here into this den of vipers. And then we're going to contemporarily, you have a statement to read to the pedophile elite on air, kind of a challenge at the end of the interview. And we also have all the big breaking stings just this week of 277 arrests of pedophiles reportedly and kidnapped children in Florida. 17 arrested this week in Colorado and Wyoming, as young as 3 months old, being sold to be raped. I mean, this is mainstream news here. So the media tries to act like this isn't happening. Local news covers it. National news pretty much ignores it. So Gabe, tell us about yourself. I know you've been a successful producer in films and other things, but and also in capital management. But what made you take on this, one of the most evil things in the world? Thanks for joining us.
Sure. Thanks. Great to be here with you, Alex. You know, I'm a hedge fund manager. I've been a hedge fund manager when I was 23 years old. Back in 2000, I was the youngest hedge fund manager on Wall Street, started my own firm, been blessed, very successful, very fortunate. My buddy, Matt Valentinas, knew from NYU undergrad. He went to film school. He worked in Hollywood for 15 years. And we were talking about how to do good and things like that. And he said, look, I know Hollywood has a big pedophile problem. It just needs to be exposed. I said, well, I'm not a film guy. Never done that. Let's get the research. So with Disarming Films, we wrote just a research contract. We didn't know that there would be enough to make a film, or at least I didn't know that at the time. A few months later, after Disarming Films, private investigators and all that, we had 2 binders of Hollywood convicted pedophiles. Their victims, sometimes in many cases, actually getting hired by their pedophile buddies afterwards to go work on film sets, raping and abusing kids on film sets. It was unbelievable. And I said, gosh, this is the easiest check I'll ever write to fund making this film. And it's an over $1.5 million budget, full-feature documentary with an Oscar-nominated director for her work in another area. You know, it's funny, Amy Berg, our director, she got an Oscar nomination when she exposed pedophilia in the Catholic Church a few years earlier.
That's right.
But she exposed it in
I forgot to
Hollywood,
say, she's super famous for that, yeah.
Yeah, but then when...
And even back then, they denied it was going on.
Right. But then in Hollywood, when she does it, all of a sudden they don't care. So go figure.
Yeah, I forgot that your director, she's the famous Amy Berg, that one of the biggest chinks in the corrupt Vatican's armor, and now the deputy pope, the #2 guy, has been arrested for over 100 young boys, kidnapped, trafficked, raped. I mean, it's massive.
Absolutely. And I'm so pleased exclusively with you on InfoWars to announce we had made this free on Vimeo through the 22nd. Again, it's got over 1 million views already in a week. We are going to make it free through October 31st for everybody to celebrate all these Hollywood pedophiles getting exposed just this week.
Wow, awesome. Again, folks, on all our Twitter accounts, on Paul Watson's, on yours, all of you, we can get around them because YouTube and Google and all admit they are censoring, especially this. They do not want these powerful... I mean, they even took one of the top stars off Twitter because she said that Weinstein raped her, even though Weinstein settled with her, they were blocking her. I mean, this is incredible. Well, Gabe Hoffman really is a hero. I've heard about production of this film for several years. I've heard really good things from law enforcement sources we have about the fact that they've been wanting to go after the pedophile networks. You see a 5-6-fold increase of pedophiles, not just people with child porn, but people actually with children as young as 3 months old that are being raped. I have a stack of mainstream news, but from local TV stations, from Florida to Colorado to California, just this week with hundreds of kids here, 88 kids here, 27 kids here, 14 kids there. I mean, in actual sex slavery, but it never hits big national news. It's incredible. So we've been telling you, this whole Weinstein thing is a controlled demolition. They know this is all coming out. The Lolita Express, as you just heard, he's under investigation for flying around with Jerry Epstein and Bill Clinton. On that plane, they flew the young girls, we're talking 10, 11, 12 years old, to this island. And that's what we know of. They're going to have to be loading girls that young on planes with them. You know, out in the Caribbean, there's even crazier stuff going on. So Gabe Hoffman, amazing. So you start investigating this as a very successful capital management firm. You start investigating it. You go down the rabbit hole, just recapping, and found all these cases of convicted Hollywood pedophiles. And as you mentioned, in the film, now there's new cases. During Weinstein years, Disney hired child molester to direct film who raped and was convicted a 12-year-old boy on the set to be around children again. So this is how the rabbit hole began. You've got the floor now. Get into the film, which you're offering free right now to everybody until Halloween at Infowars.com because they tried to suppress it and tried to block it. You put $1.5 million of your own money into this with your great crew. That's why you're a hero. They tried to block it. Well, they're not going to block it. It's free, ladies and gentlemen. It's up to you to get this out. So again, I want to commend you.
Thanks, Alex. You know, the real heroes are the brave survivors and victims who came forward on our show, on our film. We didn't pay them a dime. We didn't black out their faces. We didn't hide their names, nothing. It was the highest standards of journalism, and they had to name their accusers, and there had to be actual proof, or in one case, we actually unmasked a pedophile who was one of the biggest child managers in Hollywood over the last 30, 40 years, and he fesses up on camera in an open secret. You know, there was just a major breaking news last night. The mainstream media hasn't picked it up yet. Tyler Gresham, he's a major representative of young stars, and a young man named Blaze Littman, you know, came out on Facebook and otherwise accusing him of drugging him and raping him when he was underage. This is just the tip of the iceberg, like we say in the film.
So the women having the courage to go public, now we're learning with Weinstein, it goes into 17, 16. Roman Polanski raping anally a 13-year-old girl. Media covers it up. Then Meryl Streep gives him standing ovations and says he did nothing wrong.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean,
let me tell you something. I got a 13-year-old daughter. You rape her, I'm going to kill you.
It's amazing. You see those Hollywood award shows where Roman Polanski, they give him awards, and they put it on screen, and the place is, you know, standing ovation, and he's not even there to get the award in person because he's not allowed back in the country. He was convicted, and he fled. That's just Hollywood.
And Weinstein has, you notice, run to Europe as well.
Absolutely, and we have a rumor that we'll talk about later that a major Hollywood figure may have already just run to Europe. Hopefully the InfoWars folks can help track it down on the internet.
Please continue, because you've got these binders over here. Let's just begin. Hundreds and hundreds of convicted pedophiles over the years, super high level, covered up in the media, then they're rehired with kids again.
Absolutely, and what you were talking about earlier is Victor Salva. Everybody's heard of the Jeepers Creepers franchise. That's Victor Salva. He's the director of it, and Jeepers Creepers 3 was just out this year.
Oh, funny, he's into demon clowns. He's into demon clowns.
Absolutely, you got it. So we have exclusively at InfoWars the Open Secret internal Hollywood pedophile map, because there are just connections with these pedophiles.
And by the way, we're going to add that map to the film that we're about to post to Infowars.com, but let's put it on screen, the pedophile map. There it is.
How they're all friends. They know each other. They manage the same children. They put, a manager who's a pedophile will put the child on the pedophile show. They will hire each other even after their convictions. I mean, it's not just, Brian Peck working on Charlie Sheen's show Anger Management 10 years after his conviction. It's Brian Peck working on big things like Jack and the Beanstalk. It's just amazing how convicted pedophiles are actually still working in Hollywood today, and we have to put a stop to it.
This never happened in Hollywood with Charlie Sheen over the years that I knew him before he went wild again. But with other Hollywood folks or at major TV production studios, they would just sit there and go, by the way, are you a devil worshiper? Because we worship the devil. And I thought it was just to mess with me. But then later it's like, well, you might not want to come to this party because there might be some young girls here. And that's it. And of course, it's just messing with you to see if you're into it. It's like an entrance exam. It's like a rite of passage.
And that's something that, you're getting to a great point, because that's something that we show in An Open Secret. It's not just about exposing the Hollywood pedophiles. It's about doing good in your community, helping you to make your children safe. We get you into the mind of the pedophile. They speak themselves. You learn what their justifications are. And we even show home videos where if you're looking closely, you can see the pedophile hanging out with a good American family, and subtle little increasing sexualization here and there. You learn about their tactics. You learn about their tools. You learn about how to protect your children from them in your community.
Because they engage in testing, they engage in training, they engage in all of this.
And there are subtle little signs of the sexualization in terms of language and other things that we teach you about in An Open Secret to learn to, figure
and by the way, the film, you can't stop watching it, even though it's so horrifying, because it empowers you. And notice they've got cruddy films all over cable, all over Netflix, everywhere. But not with you guys. A real film, how many years in the making? I remember hearing about this film years ago, and then now you just release it for free because they're blocking it.
Yeah, they blocked it for 2 years, Alex, and they thought that we were going to go away. No.
But notice the blocking seemed to only bring it out now, right when the world's ready. The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Well, we just waited for this Harvey Weinstein moment. We knew this was going to come. Something like this, they would come.
Wow, keep going.
And so that's what we did. But you bring up a great point about the film, and that is that Amy did such a great job at telling the story. And it's PG-13, but I'll tell you what. You see worse things on network TV at 9 o'clock.
Everyone should show their children, I would say as young as 8 or 9, this, so they understand predators. You're not scaring them, you're showing them. If you were somebody 1,000 years ago in Eastern Europe and there were wolves that were eating kids, you'd tell them, don't go out in the woods by yourself. I mean, people need to know about this danger.
Right, but they don't use gross out language. That's the beauty of it. They tell their tale, and you know what happened, but they don't get into explicit details. You just know that something bad happened.
And children need to know how these predators operate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the survivors talks about how the predator lured him in, what could have, right before he was first just raped, the language they were using and the examples and the discussions they would have.
And then how they guilt you and threaten you and control you after.
Exactly. And they tell you that it's normal. We've gotten in America, look, certain groups, certain beliefs, more normalized, fine, but the pedophiles want to be next.
And now we learn at the UN everywhere, they're the ones behind it all, pushing the normalization, because that's what they want finally for them is no limits. We're under UN law, they're asking, they come to your door and demand to date your 5-year-old daughter. I mean, that's literally the kind of stuff that Salon and others are pushing. The normalization, the coming out of the pedophiles. Anybody that tunes in on a regular basis knows I don't hype stuff. And I've been saying the last year, Trump's going to start bringing down the pedophile network. And that just means green lighting law enforcement, citizens, and others to have courage to do it, knowing he's going to try to back them as much as he can. And he's tweeted that child rapists should be killed. And, of course, you've got Eric Prince. Say what you want about the owner of Blackwater, now XZ. He has a lot of intelligence sources. And I can tell you it's an open secret in the government, so I'll let you know. He's been part of the leaks that have exposed the globalists, along with other patriots. It wasn't the Russians. That's now coming out. He's exposed the pedophile network from behind the scenes and has been fighting that. So have we. And I've given $100,000 of the money you've given us to a team of former law enforcement people and SEAL Team 6 folks and others to actually go out and document some of these big raids you're hearing about that national news won't cover. And, of course, I don't have a position in the films they're making. I don't care about the money. The money you send us when you buy products, T-shirts, books, films, supplements, goes back in. We're talking 95% of it to building and expanding this operation against the globalist. And the rest goes into backup when they sue us and come after us and everything to hold the course and be able to weather the storm. So we need you to go to InfoWarsStore.com today and commit to buy the high-quality supplements like Caveman and Anthroplex and Super Male Vitality, 50% off Anthroplex. Just wait till you try it. The stamina, the libido, the energy it gives me is amazing. InfoWarsStore.com. We're about to end in the next few days. The special on the nutraceutical Brain Force that's 50% off. We've never done that before. It's our best seller, but I wanted to see if I lowered the price even more, close to cost, if it would cause just phenomenal ordering, and it has. We got to sell a lot of it to fund the operation at $19.96, when leading competitors with a similar formula are $60 to $70. So it's a good deal at $39. It's unbelievable at $19.96. InfoWarsStore.com. Now let me stop right there. I know what it's like to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of hours of time to make a film, and then to have it all uploaded properly, and to have YouTube say you can't put it up, or to have Apple say, re-encode this, and then refuse it, then send it to a firm and they say, no, this is all to their specs, they're just refusing it. After they took tens of thousands of my dollars just to pay to have them do the, quote, conversion and upload to iTunes. And they do this to libertarians, conservatives. It's come out in the news. You've seen the undercover video of YouTube executives saying their main job is to block InfoWars. They mean the type of guest we have on. The fact that we are a frontline operation that continues to kick their butt. A place they don't control. And it's very frustrating to see that happen. But imagine being Gabe Hoffman, a successful Wall Street strategist and capital manager, putting $1 million+ of his own money into an open secret being produced over the last 5 years. 2 years ago, it's ready. Hollywood won't take it. They block it everywhere. Well, now he's just put it out for free. He's been waiting for that to happen. It's free. We've posted it to InfoWars.com. It's free through the 31st. Now, you had to put it on Vimeo because they don't censor like YouTube and Google do as much. Oh, yeah, Google and YouTube are really censoring. That's why you've got to share it with everybody you know. You've got to stop them. Okay, 1 million views in a couple days is great, the last week or so. I want to see 10 million by next Monday, folks. We do videos all the time that get 20, 30, 40, 50 million views. This is a film with blood, sweat, and tears for the children, the victims, and to help and stop other victims. We've got to expose this, and we are. We're on the march. The empire's on the run. It's posted to Infowars.com. I just tweeted it at Real Alex Jones. Please retweet it right now. Let's scroll back to the top. I'm going to give folks the name of the article. Then I need you to send to local radio stations, local TV stations, and say, interview Gabe Hoffman and the rest of his crew. He flew on his own dime. When we wanted to get him on last week, he said, no, I'll just fly there next Friday. He did it. Didn't want us to pay for anything. He's a rich, successful guy. He's doing this because he actually cares, because his friends of his knew about this who were in Hollywood and said it was horrible. So again, an open secret on Twitter. Be sure and follow him there. Spread it. The headline on Infowars.com is, Hollywood is trying to suppress this film. Get it out. See the groundbreaking film that exposes Hollywood pedophilia. The secret Hollywood doesn't want you to know. Post it here absolutely free for the victims and to stop future crimes. It's $1.5 million gift to you. Now, again, this is put in theaters, it could have made hundreds of millions of dollars. The director's already got nominated for an Oscar with her film, what was it, a decade ago, first exposing the Vatican and all the sex crimes here in the U.S., all proven right. It isn't about the money. The satisfaction is knowing these scumbags are being brought to justice. So you've got the floor in this segment, the next, because I just wanted to break that down. But I wanted to ask the listeners, to come together as humans of every race, color, and creed who are one race, the human race, and say no to the exploitation and attacks on children, women, men, you name it, by these barbarous elite cults around the world, Hollywood just being one of them. But it's the sacrament of these aggressive power cults that they are all about hurting the innocent, whether it be women, children, you name it. So Gabe Hoffman, the producer that put his money where his mouth was, right now putting this film out for free. That is such a beautiful thing you've done.
Well, thanks so much. I mean, again, it's for the real, the real heroes and all that. But so imagine, Alex, you make a film, you hire an Oscar-nominated director and all that, and then you take it to the mainstream liberal-leaning media for the reviews, New York Times, Variety, all that, and your film gets a 93% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes. 93%. That's almost unprecedented. 93%.
They say Rotten Tomatoes is ruining Hollywood because they give such low ones, but the human population, gives you an unprecedented 93.
Right. So we get a 93, and we're thinking, okay, well, we'll go to film festivals because, hey, that's the next step in the process to try to sell something, right? So, okay, film festivals are easy to get into. You pay a small registration fee, and even, look, if you had 3 kids that got 20 grand together, they'll put them in a documentary corner somewhere, maybe not on the main screen, but they're pretty easy, especially when you've got something as legitimate as this. It's no-brainer. The first 3 film festivals, Alex, that we tried to go to, L.A., Toronto, and London, you know what happened? The lower-level people who reviewed the film for quality thought, okay, great, we're going to put it up there, in fact, in a place of prominence. Then, each time, a couple weeks later, guess what happened? The higher-ups learned about it through their Hollywood, connected pedophiles, and they disinvited us from those festivals.
And that shows you who's in charge.
Absolutely. So, of course, that didn't stop us. We went to festivals anyway. We went to Cannes. We went to Doc NYC. And when we went to Doc NYC, it sold out a 500-person theater on 2 days' notice, and Drudge put it up on the top of the page that the sex abuse,
Isn't he just a hero for taking stuff that they're suppressing and punching it out there?
Well, Dan Gable, famous wrestling coach, he said once you've wrestled in life, everything else is easy, and this sure is. Fighting financial fraud and biotech fraud and scientific fraud for years and years. I'm used to a fight, and
hasn't it made you stronger?
Oh yeah,
people think avoiding fights makes them, stronger. No, getting in one is the right fight.
Well, when you get inspired by the brave survivors that you see in An Open Secret, you see what they and their family have gone through, and when they put their lives on camera, just bare their souls, literally, and you see that in the film, you'd be inspired to fight for them too.
I tell you, it is crazy. And years ago, I would start covering this, the lawsuit threats, you name it, death threats. I know how real it is just experiencing the threats. And I can't imagine what you guys went through trying to make this film, much less the victims themselves.
Absolutely. And, DEN, the Digital Entertainment Network, we can get into that. But that was amazing. That was basically a front for pedophiles to lure in and rape and drug young boys, fly them in from all over the country, have them live at the mansion that they bought with $150 million of investor dollars, much of it from Hollywood elite, and that was really big.
Well, I remember now Drudge pushing the film on. I heard about it from law enforcement and others that you guys were doing something really important. I kept waiting for it to come out and get you on and promote it. But I'd forgot how Drudge was one of the guys to finally break through. Drudge did that for us. He just the whole Liberty movement has to absolutely thank Matt Drudge. We'll be back, folks. Newswars.com, Infowars.com. The film's posted in full for free right now on Infowars. Please watch it. Please spread it. Gabe Hoffman, we got 2 more segments left. I hope you can stay and go in the war room later with Owen Schroyer and do 2 hours if you want. But
I'll do whatever you'd like.
Gabe Hoffman, the main producer for An Open Secret. There's so many other angles. We haven't even scratched the surface. The film is free at Infowars.com. You put it on Vimeo, I guess, because I know YouTube and Facebook and others have been censoring anything that exposes the pedophile network. But it's got to be satisfying, even though they've suppressed your film for 2 years, that now you're releasing it right as it's all starting to come out. And as we see pedophiles, not just people with child porn, but actual pedophiles with kids in cages being busted all over the country. But again, never in the national news.
No. And it's amazing, with DEN, the Digital Entertainment Network, that we expose our film actually bought out of bankruptcy somebody who had all the den footage. So you get to see how, look, we're not saying that Bryan Singer is a pedophile. We're not saying that David Geffen is a pedophile. We don't do any accusations. We stick to facts. What we do show you is that convicted pedophiles have close relationships with very powerful people like that. For example, Michael Huffington invested millions of dollars in Den. David Geffen, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Bryan Singer invested in Den. Bryan Singer came and hung out at Den and did their little clips. And you've seen the movie Grease, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it was directed by somebody named Randall Kleiser. I had no idea who Randall Kleiser was, none whatsoever. One day, we get an email from this big Hollywood lawyer, big as they come, Michael Donaldson, owns his own firm, says that this Randall Kleiser is in our trailer for 1 second, and he objects to it. I'm like, wow. Turns out Randall Kleiser directed a bunch of the Den shows when Den was around, so Randall Kleiser was hanging out with a bunch of pedophiles. I'm not saying that he was one, but he had a bunch of pedophile friends that ended up getting convicted, and so we said, great, we'll just tag him in the film so everybody knows who he is. So the more that they come after us, the harder we hit back because the truth is on our side.
Well, they got to be in panic mode now because the FBI, we exclusively broke with Roger Stone, who talked to the president just yesterday. The FBI is investigating Weinstein, not just for fleeing the country under Trump's direction, but also for Jerry Epstein and the Lolita child kidnapping express.
Well, absolutely. And in fact, they have sent their stalkers, their buddies, their cronies, who have admitted to being their friends in public. They've actually sent them after us to stalk and harass us and everything like that for the last 2 or 3 years.
Oh, believe me, I mean, I've been against the pedophiles forever, but as I've been beating the drum harder the last 4 years of my life, I mean, it only made me stronger. Everything bad turned into something good. I've learned just God is such a blessing. It's like an experience of Job, not as bad, but, you know, approaching it in some aspects. But it's just how God always has come through. It's very humbling. But for some of these kids, you know, they dig up in shallow graves. You know, really, it's their cries to God that are coming through you, my friend.
Well, thank you. I mean, there's one in particular. His name is Greg Schneider. That's spelled with 2 G's. And we have the Hollywood Reporter piece where he talks about publicly being friends with a few people that somebody accused. The film doesn't accuse them, but somebody in the film accused them separately. And he says he's friends with Bryan Singer, Garth Ansier, David Newman, and Greg Goddard. We've also got for you, exclusively here, behind the scenes, Greg Schneider went to X-Men, and he's there behind the scenes. We have Thanksgiving, after the case was dropped, after the Egan case was dropped against Bryan Singer, he's over there. This is from Bryan Singer's Instagram, Thanksgiving 2015, at Bryan Singer's house for Thanksgiving. So Bryan Singer's creepy friend has been stalking not only us, but people who didn't have anything to do with their quarrel with Mike Egan, which is separate from our film. They came and they stalked us personally on our personal Facebooks, on our personal emails, this guy, all over the internet. Heck, he's on Twitter right now under my feed tweeting, and, you know, you can go talk to him. InfoWars.
Well, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. We're not scared of any of these people. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We're going up against the globalists, George Soros, the Nazi collaborator, all of them. And we've studied these people and their spirit cooking, all the things that globalists do, and they're all into evil. They're all into their own sick, twisted forms of power. And the good news is all the intimidation that Weinstein and others tried, Bill Clinton tried, a lot of folks got killed by the Clintons exposing his sex crimes. It didn't work anymore, and all the chickens are coming home to roost. What's that like for you?
It's just an amazing feeling, and I know we're only at the beginning of this. I know you're going to see big Hollywood pedophile rings broken in Hollywood because now the survivors, the victims, are realizing that, you know what, they can't stop us and we don't have to be afraid of them. And we can show them the example of... And
even mainstream news is now reporting on your film. They're being forced to because you put it out for free, saying, wow, you know, is that the next big shoe to drop? It's already dropping. In fact, we're going to come back in a few minutes and do your big statement here. Then Leanne McAdoo joins us. But during Weinstein's years, Disney hired child molester to direct film. I mean, that's mainstream news. Guy that raped a 12-year-old. Sex sting, this is just yesterday, leads to 277 arrests in Florida. People that had kidnapped children and were selling them for sex slavery. That's U.S. News. This is just yesterday. Here's another one. Trafficking sting recovers 17 kids in Colorado, Wyoming. Sex trafficking sting rescues Colorado infant and 5-year-old sister who are being sold out to be raped. That's
most of that pedophile, Matt, by the way, those convictions, if you look them up, and we're going to get the actual specifics of them out there later, but most of them are on children's shows, Nickelodeon and Disney.
Well, we know there's the sexualization of children on Nickelodeon. They admit all that, and you just see it everywhere. What do you think about Salon and the New York Times coming out and like saying pedophilia is not bad? You know, it's just a preference.
Right, like it's a preference or a condition, like it's somehow normal. And that's the same thing the NAMBLA people want to do. They want to bring that somehow into the mainstream as an accepted thing. And we have to be here to stop it as the last line of defense.
That's right. If you're a radio listener, we're putting everything my guest is saying, we're just putting up for mainstream news, even on the screen. Again, just a few years ago, you wouldn't even see this. 474 arrested, 28 sexually exploited children rescued during statewide human trafficking, KTLA, but no coverage since then of that, some of them in cages, including women. Tampa, 84 children recovered, 120 arrested, nationwide sex trafficking probe. That's yesterday. 10 disturbing stories about Hollywood's pedophile problem. Big story right there that goes over all of those. We'll cover some more coming up. Hollywood's other open secret besides Harvey Weinstein preying on young boys. And it's some young girls, like Roman Polanski, like to rape. Do you have any numbers or guesstimation? What is it, about 80% boys?
Something like that. And what we do know is that, unfortunately, there are so many like Corey Haim and others that are dead, whether drug overdose or suicide or things like that. And their voices can't be heard. And
Evan Rachel's coming out. Hollywood pedophilia is the next dam to break.
Yep.
The Daily Beast. What's going to happen is everything we've talked about comes out.
Well, you can't hide the truth. You ultimately can't hide the truth. And the American people know what the truth is, and they get on the side of the truth.
But that's why Hollywood and the Vatican and all these groups have been racing to demoralize people, get rid of morals, and normalize this and make us immoral. They've been racing as a rearguard action to try to get us like them. But I'm sorry, you just can't grab kids out of the backs of yards and take them to rape them. You just can't, take them to satanic ceremonies because you get off on, torturing them. Because, listen, the next floor beneath this, that's my next big question. Did you run into the occultism, the Satanism, the bondage, the abuse of children?
That was something that we didn't actually run into, believe it or not. But we only scratched the surface. I mean, out of 2 binders, out of literally 50 abused children, we weren't going to try to out victims. We only wanted to out pedophiles. And look, not everybody was as brave as the 5 brave souls that, showed up on an open secret.
But look at history. Every culture goes into a decadent cycle, whether it was Mesoamerica or Europe or where China is today or Africa. They would get elites that got into kids. They'd have human sacrifice, and it would say, sacrifice the virgins. That means the young people. I mean, there's some sick psychopath system where they kind of get control throughout history, and they manifest the same system psychologically. We see it in sociology, anthropology, and archaeology.
Oh, absolutely. And they try to push their values on America. And with you and the InfoWars folks out there, they're rejecting it. I mean, Hollywood is afraid right now. You've seen all the headlines of how movie ticket sales are at something like a 20 or 25-year low. Let's see how low they go after this has come out.
That's right. And then look at John Wayne Gacy. Was a guy that liked to grab young men and torture them and kill them. And then they go, well, don't bash him. He was gay. Oh, so he wanted to just kill people as part of his extra fund and make like you're anti-gay if you're against John Wayne Gacy. It just gets weirder and weirder. And really, it's just like they're using the tolerance of an open society to now say pedophilia and killing people's okay.
Well, abuse is abuse is abuse. And abuse isn't a straight or gay thing. It's in everything, whether it's a guy abusing a girl, heck, a girl abusing a guy.
And I totally agree. There are men abusing women like Weinstein and young women. But statistically, I mean, what we keep seeing is it like 70, 80% though men against boys?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, even Tom Jones has come out and said he had guys basically when he first got in his career, producers and stuff, trying to make him, do it. And again, for me, it's about power. It's beta males want to dominate other men. I think that's what it's really all about. We'll be back. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. This is groundbreaking info.